Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode of Sports Talk with Dad. But before we get into it, as always, my name is Kyle, and I cannot call this Sports Talk with Dad without the man sitting next to me, a man whose first car was a covered wagon, my dad, Tim.
No, it wasn't. It was a 1970 Chevy Impala.
Might as well have been a covered wagon.
That was a great car. That was 2,000 pounds of Detroit's finest. That thing went to Texas several times and had the biggest gas tank I think of any car I've ever had.
I know you had gas back then.
It did.
What was it? Honestly.
It was not unleaded. It was regular gas.
What was it? Was it like 25 cents a gallon?
When I first started driving, no, I think it was in around $1 maybe.
Fair enough.
It would have been 1976, so whatever it would have been then.
I have no idea.
I don't either. I can't remember. I just put it in. I know it was a lot less than what we're paying now for it.
I had to set it up. It's too much
We're
fun.
not going in there.
I have some news,
Okay.
and I need your help with it.
Is this going to
I've already warned
You know we're 2 weeks away from Christmas.
my wife what's about to happen.
2 weeks before Christmas. Don't do anything stupid.
I'm not doing it till after Christmas. So December 26th, I start my new diet, right?
Okay.
I'm going back to eating fully clean. I'm going back to trying to lose some weight that I've put on.
Every time I walk in the house, I'm going to smell tuna.
Every time you walk in the house, you're going to smell tuna. It's going to be tuna. It's going to be ground turkey. It's going to be chicken and brown rice and broccoli.
I used to love tuna until you started.
It's 48 grams of protein in one can. I mean, you can't get much better than that. It's extremely healthy. You have to put sauce on it. It is very, very dry.
Well, you buy the albacore as
I
well,
do.
which is about, you might as well eat shoe leather.
It's pretty close to it, but it's not bad with rice and hot sauce.
Okay.
It's not bad with rice and hot sauce. But I am quitting sugar after Christmas.
No. That's like saying, Dad, quit caffeine.
I am giving up sugar. I've been in the process. I had to have some before the show because I had a really bad headache. But that's a sign that I need to quit sugar. It's terrible for you. It needs to go. It causes a lot of issues.
3/4 of my body weight is sugar.
Mine too. That's why it needs to go.
Which, by the way, every year you love them. I make Grandma Carney's Hermit's raisin cookies.
Yes, without raisins.
For you guys without raisins, I actually love the raisins in them. Put in the comments below if you think raisins are good in cookies or not. Most people have said no, but I still like them that way. Anyways, I eat those things and I'm thinking, oh, I've got plenty this year. It's going to make it to Christmas. They're gone.
Yeah. And nobody else eats the raisin ones.
No, I really.
So that's all on you.
It is. It's just like I grab them instead of good snacks because they are so good.
Ditto.
But
I've eaten all mine at this point that you made for me. I think I got like 4 left. But they're really good with coffee.
They're great with coffee.
They're
probably
great
the
breakfast food.
They are the best coffee cookie ever invented.
They are.
They're better than Bischoff's, the little ones you get on airplanes.
I don't know what those are.
They're little toffee flavored cookies, apparently.
The waffle things?
Kind of. They're in a red and white package. I think they're called
the
Bischoff.
waffle things.
Yeah. They're
The Belgian waffle thing.
yeah. These are better than those.
I don't know about that.
They're better than those. They're so good.
They're good. I don't think anything's better than the Belgian waffle things. Those are pretty amazing. I could just eat those. Like if sugar wasn't bad for you, that may be my everything. But it needs to go. It's
You are going to be so nasty for weeks.
I'm going to have some headaches. I'm weaning myself, though. I'm doing this smart. I've tried quitting sugar cold turkey before, and it does not work. It's just not good. And you must be thinking this guy eats a lot of sugar. You're right. I love sugar. I love candy. I love sugary things. I put sugar on my Rice Krispies in the morning. Like I
put sugar on
love
Frosted
sugar.
Flakes.
That's crazy.
because
But I've been slowly weaning myself off. The hard part of time this year for me with sugar, though, is candy canes.
yes,
Candy canes are my all-time favorite candy. And I only get them once a year. And everybody knows I love candy canes. And so everybody buys me boxes of candy canes because I'll eat them without thinking about it. And I've been slowly trying not to eat these candy canes. And I did go a whole day without sugar yesterday. Like I said, before the show, I had to have some sugar because my head was killing me. And I would have not made this show without having something. But as of the 26th, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to give up sugar until Lent is over, so until Easter, and see how I do. From everybody I've talked to that's given up sugar, they feel a lot better. I won't, but I'm gonna try.
I tried to give up caffeine once, and I tried to give up carbs once.
I won't do either of those.
Oh my god, the headache was so bad.
I don't understand why anybody would want to give up carbs.
Yeah, that was back in the day when was it Atkins diet or something
Keto.
stupid?
People are still doing it now. They can eat as much bacon as they want.
Right. They just can't have a piece of bread or toast with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Carbs are good. Carbs are energy. Like there's a reason you need carbohydrates in your diet. Now don't eat a whole loaf of bread in one sitting. Like obviously that's going to put on a lot of extra weight, especially if you're not doing exercise, but your body needs carbs to live.
And if you're over 16, don't just eat white bread. Eat the good 15 grain bread.
Right. But you need carbohydrates. You need pasta. You need things like that. That's what gives you energy. That's why marathon runners eat pasta the night before, because it's a ton of energy they have now for the race. Like you need carbs. And going on a diet that says, hey, you can have eggs and bacon for your entire life if you want. You can eat a whole thing of bacon every single day, but don't have a slice of bread. That's a stupid diet.
I'm not arguing with you.
Here's all the cholesterol in the world that's going to stop your heart, but don't eat that bread.
Look, when I was a kid, and this is where I'm going back in time, they used to run commercials where you'd have a bowl of cereal.
Yep.
But then you'd also have a stack of pancakes and 2 eggs.
It's a part of a well-balanced breakfast.
Exactly.
I remember those.
Very good. So, but that was when people were living outside a lot more, and they were expending a ton more energy.
Well, look at the food pyramid. Food pyramid has been debunked. The food pyramid I was taught has been like, no, this is a really dumb idea. You shouldn't do this. They don't even teach it in schools anymore. But when they came up with it, again, it's based off of a former generation that spent a lot more time outside. Now, how much bread and carbs they wanted you to eat in a day, even with the lifestyle you grew up with where you were outside a lot more, still probably not the best. But they had it at, where, hey, sugar is not terrible. You just need to eat it in moderation. And I think that's everything with food. You can have whatever you want. Eat it in moderation.
That's everything with anything.
Yes, as long as you can handle it in moderation. Sugar, I can't handle in moderation. I can't. Like if I have 1 candy cane, I'm gonna have 10. And then I'm gonna put it in my hot cocoa.
You love hot cocoa. Not a big fan. I like
hot cocoa with candy canes.
So speaking of candy canes, and this is going on a bunny trail, I know you're surprised. So I was having a candy cane the other day from a major manufacturer.
Yes.
We'll just leave it at that. I get down to the middle because I like to suck them to a needle point.
Yes.
There was black.
Yeah.
In the middle.
You showed
it to you.
This is how crazy, guys. Like, I'm going to save this candy cane overnight and bring it over to show Kyle this candy cane. So here's this dried out candy cane that he had clearly been sucking on for hours and then brought it over.
Number one, it wasn't hours. They don't last that long with me either. But anyways, it was black. So I contacted the company and said, what's this? And they said, it looks like some grease from the machine dripped on your candy cane. We're sending you some certificates, which I thought was really nice.
It is really nice.
I mean, I'm not mad at the company at all.
Happens.
Yeah. I'm not one of those people that, oh, you made me sick. I have black. I thought it was actually red dye. I thought it was a big glop of red dye.
Well, that's what you and I were talking about. Yeah. It was like, this isn't, I didn't think it was anything like oil.
I was impressed with the company, though. They handled that really well. I haven't got the certificates yet, but it is the holiday season.
It is the holiday season, but it happens.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
at least you, and this is a question for the audience, because at least you would have, I would have never even found it because I don't suck on candy canes.
No, you chew them.
Like I just take bites and chew them.
Right.
Same with peppermint candies, any hard candy, even cough drops. I can't just leave it in my mouth. I have to chew it.
So you don't know how many licks it takes to get to the center of it.
I am the owl. I'm 1, 2, 3, crunch. 3 is the answer. That's how many licks it takes. I am on the owl side through and through.
Where I actually have gotten all the way to the Tootsie Roll center.
Waste of time.
No, I liked it.
Waste of time.
Can't tell you how many it was. I tried to count it, and it's like, yeah, this is stupid.
And the time you do that, I could have had 7, which is probably why I'm addicted to sugar. But let me know what you think in the comments below, because I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and it surprises me how split people are on this issue. Do you, when you have a candy cane, do you actually let the candy cane melt in your mouth to a point and then stab people with it? Because that's what people seem to do. Or do you just chew it? If you have a peppermint, if you have a cough drop, are you leaving this in your mouth to melt, or are you just chewing it like I do? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get to enjoy this show as much as we enjoy making it.
Okay, we've chased a few squirrels so far. So, as I always say, are we going to talk about sports at any point?
I think it's about time. And there is an interesting topic in sports here that you and I have had a lot of discussion about already this weekend. And I think it's important for us to have it here on the show, is that Tiger Woods can't walk.
At all. Did you watch the match?
I saw the highlights of it. I didn't watch it. We were making Christmas cookies ourselves, so I didn't get a chance to see it. But I did see the highlights of it and made sure I watched them, especially after you telling me. And he can't walk.
Not at all. That leg is done. I mean, what are we? Coming up on 2 years since the accident.
Has it been that long?
Yeah. And he still has a very noticeable limp.
Well, he doesn't really have bones there anymore.
He doesn't.
It's pretty much metal.
Completely. And he was playing essentially 12. It was a 12-hole match, and they played Jordan Spieth and his partner Justin Thomas won 3 and 2. So they only got through about 9 holes.
Right.
And Tiger was visibly in pain through the whole thing. It was hard to watch. And they asked him, they said, "How's your leg?" "It's attached." And when he said that, because how many times have I looked at you when you're going, your back looks like it's hurting, how you doing? "It's fine, it's attached. I'm upright."
That's when I know you're in pain.
Yes.
When you say that, it is, Kyle, shut up. I'm going to make it through this. I'm in a lot of pain. Don't talk to me about it.
That's when you go in your own, whatever space you have, and just try to gut it through at that point. And Tiger was doing that for the whole match. He hit some good shots. He was laughing and joking. He could not possibly walk 72 holes of any golf tournament.
No, and he has now gone to the PGA. It's been announced. It's been rumors, right? But he has asked the PGA to use a cart coming up in tournaments. Now, is this major tournaments? I don't know. But it is upcoming tournaments. He's asking to use a cart. And there is a precedent for this.
Casey Martin.
He had some, I think it was like,
he was born with a very serious disease, and it was a bone disease.
It was taken. It's the same thing the guy from, what's that band? Motley Crue. The guitar player from Motley Crue was born with.
Slash?
No, Slash was they took on Slash for a few tours after, I forget his name. I could look it up, but I'm not going to.
No, that's fine.
But he had a very bad bone disease where he couldn't move. Like, his back was fusing itself.
And I think Casey Martin's leg could have broken at any time.
Yeah, I think it was in that same ballpark of issues. And so they did give him a cart. And I don't have an issue with Tiger taking a cart. Number one, he's Tiger Woods. You give Tiger what he wants. If he wants a cart, you give him a cart.
Okay, here's my thing. On a regular tour event, he is Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Without Tiger, there is no tour. The purses aren't what they are.
Right.
All
But
of
he
that.
only needs one more tournament win to beat Snead for Sam Snead for the all-time leading tournament win. And
tied with 82, right?
Tied with 82. He wants to get to 83.
But here's my question, and here's my only. I don't think he should use it in majors if you're going to compete, and his target, as everybody knows, is Jack Nicklaus's 18 majors.
At this point, I think he'll settle with being the all-time winner.
He's going to have to. However, I don't think, as competitive as Tiger is, and as much of a perch that he puts Jack and Arnie on,
right?
If he won a major using a cart, I don't think that would feel good to him. I just don't. Maybe he would still consider it a victory because of what he's had to overcome, but I don't.
Between his back problems and leg problems, he's not going to retire. And here's the issue: is the PGA can't afford Tiger Woods to retire right now. With the Live Golf taking a lot of the top golfers away, you can't afford to have the face of your sport, because Rory's not ready to take over as the face of the sport right now. He's just not. Tiger is still the face of golf, and you cannot afford to lose that. So if you're from the PGA perspective, you're going to celebrate it as a win because you don't have any other choice.
Well, and I think because of the American with Disabilities Act,
yeah,
they're going to have a hard time not allowing him to use a cart.
Oh, if he asks for a cart with what he has going on, he will get a cart.
I just am not sure. And there's no way he can walk Augusta. So I'm of both.
He will not be allowed to have a cart in Augusta.
I don't think he should have a cart in the majors because that's a different type of thing.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Nobody's had a cart at a major event. Casey Martin was not at a major. Was he at the U.S. Open? No, he wasn't.
No.
He was just at a tournament. He didn't qualify for the U.S. Open. So nobody's been at a major event with a cart.
Majors are so different, and he's chasing Jack. I think it would lessen the victory in his own mind. From what he went through, wouldn't lessen it in my mind.
It wouldn't.
You win a major, and if you're in a cart, what he has to do to play right now is worse than anybody.
Well, he doesn't take anything to help, right? He doesn't do painkillers or anything. He has that CBD gum that he chews to try and help as much as he can. But pain is pain. Pain is good, right? It's your body telling you something's wrong. And I agree. There's no way he can walk 72 holes over a 4-day period.
Not a chance.
And really, it's more than that because you have to include the practice rounds. Now, could Tiger get away with not doing practice rounds at Augusta? Yeah, he probably knows that course better than I know my own backyard.
They'd probably let him take it. I'm sure they'd let him take a cart for the practice rounds.
Oh, for sure.
There's no reason not to.
No,
but
at that point. But what if he does? Here's my question. So a lot of the top golfers have left for Live, right?
A few of the top golfers have left. Most of them in their late 30s and 40s, past the time they're going to win championships.
But people like Dustin Johnson,
Cam Smith, or is that the guy
Cam
who won?
Smith? Yeah. Number 2 in the world. He left as well. You can't. I think half of the top 10 has left for the Live Golf Tournament. This
money
point,
grabs.
Their paydays, which good for them. I have no issues with it. But with that being said, they're not going to be able to compete in Augusta specifically. So the Masters, the Live golfers are not going to be able to compete in the Masters.
Nor should they.
That was a rule. Like, they have to be able to compete in the Opens. That was passed. But when it comes to the PGA Championship and the Masters, they're not going to be there.
Correct.
That being said, say Tiger's allowed a cart at the Masters. With all those golfers not competing against him, could Tiger still beat Jack's record?
From what I saw in the match, and he's going to be in the PNC Championship with Charlie.
Correct.
I think it's this weekend, actually. So we'll get a better idea of his shot making. He was not sharp.
He will be taking a cart at the PNC.
Oh, of course. But he wasn't sharp during the match.
He will make Charlie walk.
Charlie can walk. He's 12.
At least if that was my son.
Yes.
I'd be like, you walk.
You don't get a caddy. You carry your own clubs.
Exactly.
But yeah, he didn't. His shot making was not anywhere near Tiger-esque.
No, of course not.
So he is a long way from today to competing for a major.
What's his focus right now? His focus isn't on making golf shots. His focus is on making it 18 holes walking. That's his focus. And if you take Tiger's mentality and take it away from making amazing shots and put it on specifically being able to walk, of course he's not going to be playing as well. If you give him that cart where that's not a focus anymore and he just has to worry about making shots, I think you're going to see a lot of the old Tiger back.
I would love to see it. It's good for golf. It's good for sports to have Tiger as a talking point.
Yeah.
What he did in Augusta last year, where he was actually in the lead or near the lead after the first round, was unbelievable.
After he was in competition after the second round. It's the third round where he couldn't walk anymore.
The leg just gave out.
I mean, the fact that he made the cut at all is an impressive feat.
Considering how many people with two good legs didn't make the cut.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, people forget Augusta last year was just under a year or just a little over a year removed he lost his leg. It would have, you've said it 1,000 times. If it were you and me in that accident,
wouldn't have
cut
a
off
leg
our
anymore.
leg.
In 2 seconds flat.
Yeah, it's not even close. Somebody actually looked and said, yeah, that's Tiger. You can't cut that leg off.
I will not be responsible for Tiger Woods losing his leg.
No.
Moving on from Tiger, I do have a very big story I want to talk to you about, and it's a story that I am upset, disappointed, angry, disgusted, all the negative words.
Appalled?
Appalled is a perfect word for this. So Caleb Williams wins the Heisman Trophy.
Oh, he of the nasty little...
Listen, here's the thing. I have no issues on talent alone, him winning the Heisman Trophy. I do have an issue, however, as you just mentioned, that somebody who decides to go around putting derogatory things on his fingernails for the world to see should not even be considered for a Heisman Trophy. And it's not just the Utah game.
No, he's done it all year.
It's not. He did it for the Notre Dame game. It said F-U-C-K-N-D. He did it for Cal, saying F-U-C-K Cal, F-U-C-K Utah. He did the same thing for UCLA. He's done it throughout, which number one tells me everything I need to know about Lincoln Riley as a coach.
That's
the fact that you're a coach and that you know about it, because his teammates were egging him on to do it. So that's the culture you're allowing at USC, is to be derogatory towards other teams. That's something you allow in your program. Has it become so disgusting that we're at the point now where it's not about being good sports? It's about winning at any cost. And you're going to allow your starting quarterback that you brought over from Oklahoma, the leader of your team, to write F-U-C-K, another team before the game and compete. And then that quarterback that does that, by the way, goes into a championship game where you're going for the college playoffs and he gets destroyed. None of this, well, he had a pretty good game. He threw for 383 yards and he had a really good game. It doesn't matter. Your job as a quarterback is to keep up with the opposing team, and he didn't. That's not a Heisman Trophy candidate right there. And number two, as the Heisman Trophy, whatever the word I'm looking for, committee, thank you. As a Heisman Trophy committee, you will not give Reggie Bush his Heisman Trophy back. A Reggie Bush who was the most electric college football player to ever play the game, who got cars and some money. He didn't do anything derogatory towards any other team, but you said he disgraced the sport. And so you're not going to give him his Heisman Trophy back, even though it's legal now and players are apparently fighting over NIL deals in the locker room again at USC. But instead, we're going to give this trophy to a man who, a kid is what he's proving to be, an immature kid who writes F-U-C-K, another team, on his fingernails for the world to see. That's not disgracing the sport. That's not showing the most disgusting sportsmanship of all time. We're going to give that kid the Heisman Trophy? Are you kidding me right now? How in the world did he not get a flag every time he stepped on the field? We are in an NCAA where you want to talk about sportsmanship, where you want to talk about how you can't taunt other teams, where it's a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for taunting another team, and you're allowing a player on the field for several games with F-U-C-K, the other team, on his fingernails. How is that never flagged? How is this never a bigger story than what it is right now? How are his teammates excited about this? And how is Lincoln Riley, are you allowing this on your football team? And how in the world, as a Heisman Trophy committee that stripped Reggie Bush, yes, he gave it back. They stripped Reggie Bush of his Heisman Trophy for accepting money from USC for his family. And you said he disgraced the sport, yet you are going to not only make sure he's in the top 4 in New York, but you are going to allow that player to win the Heisman Trophy. How is that not a disgrace?
Part of winning the Heisman Trophy was always that these are the best student athlete in the game. They represent the game. This kid, number one, my kid would play for Deion Sanders
all day.
He would never play.
Well, Deion Sanders never allows out of the field.
No,
you don't disgrace another team like that.
You don't. What have I always told you? What have I always taught you? What did John Paulus always teach you? You win with class, you lose with dignity. This kid did none of that. He just disgraced not only his team, his teammates, the sport, his opponents. I was thrilled when Utah just put the hammer down. It's not acceptable behavior. And you're right. This kid should have been flagged the moment he walked on the field. If they
should
knew
have been
about
ejected from games. How are the refs not seeing this?
I put this more on Lincoln Riley.
It's 100% on Lincoln Riley.
This kid never should have been on the field until his fingernails were clean. That doesn't happen. And a matter of fact, the first time I see it, enjoy the sideline. You're not playing today.
Well, and him coming out saying, well, my mom paints nails, has since before I was born. Your mom didn't tell you to write F-U-C-K towards another team on your fingernails. And if she did, shame on her.
Why don't
that's not acceptable. Are you telling me your mom told you to write that on your fingernails? I highly doubt it.
No, because he has no class. You want to put something on your fingernails? Put the Trojan symbol on your fingernails.
Right. I have no issue with painting your fingernails. Who cares? But you don't disgrace a team like that. Instead, CJ Stroud gets a ton of flack for not doing anything wrong.
Okay, I was going to bring that up. Talk about fake news.
That upset me.
For those of you that don't know the story, CJ Stroud was walking down, shaking hands with people. He got to Desmond Howard, and Desmond Howard had made remarks about Ohio State and CJ Stroud there because he's from Michigan. It was just that fun back and forth.
Dumb joke.
But Desmond Howard had his back turned on CJ Stroud, and CJ just kept on moving.
Right. He shook it's not like people are saying, oh, he just walked past Desmond Howard. No, he shook the first two people's hand in line. Desmond Howard at the time was talking to RG3 next to him. And it's not like he passed him and then went and shook RG3's hand and kept moving. No, he didn't shake anybody's hand after that. He just shook the first two people, saw Howard wasn't paying attention, and moved up to the front of the stage.
This is also media trying to cast aspersions in the spotlight off of the Heisman Trophy winner and onto somebody else.
Correct.
And
I mean, here's the sad part is, too, you have Stetson Bennett, who was a finalist, who had one of the most amazing seasons and amazing stories ever. This is a walk-on from Georgia who probably has worse wide receivers than anybody else that was on the Heisman Trophy finalist stage that night and has gone undefeated, the only undefeated quarterback. You have Max Duggan, who almost single-handedly won the game for TCU to the point where he's falling down exhausted in the end zone. You have CJ Stroud, who has had one of the greatest statistical seasons in college football history, except for one bad half versus Michigan. Shush. One bad half versus Michigan. But
really
no,
bad half.
We have three players there that you could give this Heisman Trophy to. It's not a weak class. This is one of the strongest Heisman Trophy classes, especially when it comes to quarterbacks, in my lifetime. And yet you give it to the kid that disgraces the game every time he walks on the field by writing derogatory things on his fingernails towards other players. Kids watch this game. What happened to us looking at this and saying, well, they need to be role models? Well, we definitely went away from that, didn't we?
Look,
because he's right. I just don't understand how the NCAA allowed this.
I have no idea. And granted, the Heisman Committee is a New York
I don't care.
whatever it is. They're a separate deal, but I wouldn't have invited the kid there. Even if you're planning on giving him the award, you don't invite him. And as you said, I would have given it to the guy from Georgia, the only undefeated quarterback in the NCAA this year.
I would have given it to C.J. Stroud because except for one bad half, he was the Heisman Trophy winner. It's not me being a homer. It's just me being a homer.
Thank you. Swallow that poisonous nut right now.
I will.
No, he does not. He didn't deserve to be the Heisman winner, nor more did Caleb. He didn't show up against Utah. If you're going to hold C.J. Stroud
that's
back.
What's crazy to me. C.J. Stroud has a bad half. That's all that happened. C.J. Stroud had one bad half.
Really?
It was a really bad half.
Really,
okay?
really
Okay,
bad
I
half.
was there. I saw it. Yes. I watched the game. I understand it was a bad half.
No, it was a really bad half.
It was.
Really.
But you have Caleb Williams, who's lost twice now.
Right.
To the same team, trying to disgrace that team by writing derogatory things on his fingernails about.
Good for Utah, by the way.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Sticking it down his throat.
Yeah. But you're going to, well, he had a really good game. No, he didn't. They lost.
Exactly.
They didn't have a good game. He didn't keep up. You have a chance to go to the playoffs and he choked. Your job as quarterback is to win that game. The same reason C.J. Stroud didn't deserve to win the Heisman Trophy because he didn't win that game.
Yep.
It was his responsibility as a quarterback to win that game, and he didn't win that game. I have no issues with him not winning that because of that very reason. Instead, you had Max Duggan, who, what more can you ask of your quarterback at that point than to run up and down the field trying to keep your team in the game, or Stetson Bennett, who didn't lose?
Correct. There's your Heisman Trophy winner as far as I'm concerned.
But the fact that the and what bothers me more than anything about all of this is you took a Heisman Trophy away from Reggie Bush. And when Reggie Bush, when the NIL deals came to be, asked for his Heisman Trophy back, you said no.
Which was ridiculous because from all accounts, Reggie Bush is a stand-up guy.
100%.
Good guy.
You're a 20-year-old kid who's offered cars and money for your family. You're not going to turn that down.
No, and it was an open secret, not just at USC, by the way.
Ohio State never had those issues.
Really? You're gonna fall on your sword over that one.
I mean, Tressel, that's not why Tressel was like.
Not at all. Every major school had the back end deals.
Of course they do.
And I'm talking every major
Reggie Bush
school.
got caught. But why did Reggie Bush get caught? Because he's such a stand-up guy that he didn't lie about it.
Correct.
When somebody asked him about it, he was honest because he is a stand-up human being and a great individual. And you're not giving that guy his Heisman Trophy back, which you should give him back. But instead, you're giving it to Caleb Williams, who, again, is writing F-U-C-K other teams on his fingernails for every single game. Heisman Trophy committee, you should be sick with yourself.
They are my loser of the year, I think.
Oh, hands down. Hands down. It's unacceptable. And the fact that people aren't pointing this out more bothers me to the core.
It's been silent from the national media.
Instead, we're talking about C.J. Stroud and Desmond Howard rather than the fact that a guy who should have been thrown out of every single game and given several unsportsmanlike conduct penalties for even having that on his fingernails wins a Heisman Trophy. Like, where were the refs not giving him taunting penalties? That's taunting.
He showed it at every camera. And since when do we show that stuff on TV?
Since 2022, apparently.
Well, it should stop.
People gave what's his face from Florida, Tim Tebow, crap for wearing John 3:16 on his eye black. And we're not saying a word from anybody about this kid writing that on his fingernails.
Oh, because we're in the politically correct woke society. So woke means you can say stupid things. Woke means you can't put John 3:16 on your eye black.
I guess.
If that's the case, let me roll back to when I was a kid.
Dude, that wasn't allowed when I was a kid. I don't know why it's allowed today.
Well, and I know we've talked about it on the show. My tennis coach was John Paulus. If I ever let a ball bounce twice, he was kicking me off the court. And if I would have ever showed up with anything dissing my opponent,
I would never been allowed on the court again.
No, nor would I.
Never been allowed on the court again.
Matter of fact, he never would have spoken to me again because that would have just hurt him to the core because that's a reflection on him.
Correct.
just as Lincoln Riley. This is a reflection on you.
This is a reflection on Lincoln Riley. This should be a fireable offense for Lincoln Riley. But again, it's not about raising boys into men. It's not about student athletes. It's about winning. And that's all anybody cares about is winning. Even though this is a college where you're supposed to be learning. No, it's about winning. And so we don't care.
But fortunately, they lost. That makes me happy.
It's just disgusting, and it bothers me. And you have 3 players in the college football playoff that were also on that stage that one of the 3 of them should have won that Heisman Trophy.
2 of the 3 should have won it. The guy from Ohio State.
I mean, 2 can't. I said 1 out of the 3.
1 out of the 3 should have, but what it was.
What you wanted to say was 1 out of the 2.
It should have. Yes, C.J. Stroud should not have won the Heisman. Sorry, but
C.J. Stroud, he should have won the Heisman Trophy.
No, he shouldn't. Stop being a homer.
No, never will.
Speaking of homers, Tom Brady went back to his hometown for a game.
He did, which is awesome.
It was awesome.
But Tom Brady needs to retire at this point, and he already has.
Well, wait a minute. For those who don't know,
how does it feel reversed, by the way, where I just jump in and don't tell the story and make you explain what's going on?
You've done it to me so many times, I'm used to it now. So Tom Brady goes to San Francisco. Guy picks him off after the game, takes the ball up to him and goes, will you sign it? And Brady, class act, signed it.
Right.
But that to me seems to think he wouldn't have done that 10 years ago, ever.
He wouldn't have done that 3 years ago.
No. I do think if he gets a chance to play one more year in San Francisco, he would come back to do that. I don't think
want him to, though.
I was going to say, if I'm San Francisco, I don't want him to, because his talent has slipped.
His talent hasn't slipped. He's older now. He's 45 years old.
His ability has slipped. Yeah. The talent's still there lurking, but he just can't call it anymore.
Correct.
It's the closest thing I can't even put this on it, but George Blanda played until he was 48.
As a backup.
He was a backup quarterback, came in and won a lot of games in the fourth quarter in 72 or 73, but he was also a place kicker.
Right.
So he wasn't asked to play for 4 quarters of quarterback.
He was not.
I just think Tom's time has come.
Tom Brady 3 years ago even doesn't do that.
No.
Like you beat him and he's still staying on there. I mean, the fact that he'd even stay on the field to shake hands is amazing.
Right.
Tom Brady losing, especially in the season they're having now, where it's a losing season.
He would have been tearing them up on the sidelines all game long.
Right. And instead he's willing to sign a ball that he threw an interception with. Is it a class act? Yeah. It's not Tom Brady.
No.
I don't. Like, why as a quarterback would you do that unless you are not focused on the game?
The real GOAT, Bart Starr, never would have done that until the very end of his career. Any great quarterback until the end of their career would never do that. Once they know they're going, okay, I'll sign your ball.
I mean, Brett Favre threw more interceptions than anybody, and he didn't sign any of them. Like, you just don't do it.
No, do you think he would have signed that one after the Giants game? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
As cold as he was, that's not happening.
I mean, after it was a 4-win season that one year that we got AJ Hawk, the year after
2005 or 6,
something like that. Yeah, I think it was 2005. He didn't sign any of those interception balls, and he threw 5 in a game at one point. Like, competitors don't do that. You're not going to say, "Oh, you want the mistake that I made during the game that cost us this game? Yeah, sure. Let me sign that for you." We just lost 35-0. I don't even know what the final score was. I turned it off after 35-0. But we just got destroyed, and you want me to sign a ball for you when we're fighting for our lives in the playoffs? And Brady does that? I just think he's lost a bit of his competitive edge.
I think he's done everything he could do. I'm not begrudging him going off in the sunset. Speaking of which, Purdy had a decent game.
Purdy looked great.
He did what he was asked to do.
He looked Purdy.
I knew it. Sorry. I couldn't stop him. I couldn't. Anyways, he won the game. I think they've got enough talent around him. Seattle game is a trap game. He's got to be ready to go over the top for that one. But he should win and get into the playoffs. I don't think Garoppolo is coming back for the playoffs. They say he might. But what do you do next year if you're San Francisco?
Purdy's looking pretty Purdy right now. I mean, they got a good team. If Purdy brings you, that's my joke forever. I don't care. Just like Jordan Love, because all you need is love.
Love hurts.
It's Love Stinks is the song, actually.
Don't care. I still like the meme. Love hurts. Anyways.
But it's you go with the quarterback. Like, this is Mr. Irrelevant, which is a cool story.
Yeah, it is.
But look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady was a 7th-round pick, and you chose Tom Brady over Drew Bledsoe, a number 1 overall pick, and it ended up being the right decision. I don't see anything wrong with that now. If he's going to take you to the promised land, you got to stick with the guy that's taking you to the promised land. Joe Flacco, you got me doing it now. Joe Flacco was not a quarterback that probably deserved a $100 million contract, right? But he won a Super Bowl with the Ravens, and you give him the contract. He bet on himself, and he won, and he got paid for it.
Yeah, because if he didn't win, he was going to have to go back to clean barnacles off of boats for the rich people. What he did was amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, Flacco, not Falco. You've done this. You've said Falco so many times. It's just in my brain now.
Of course.
But, I mean, you have to ride with a quarterback that's going to take you to the promised land. Luckily for them, he's a rookie. Correct. So even if it takes him to the promised land, they have a couple years till they have to make a decision. The question is Trey Lance is coming back?
I don't care. Purdy has stepped in with as much pressure as he could possibly had and performed.
He did. Versus a very weak, what's turning into be a very weak Tampa Bay team.
Let's see what he does the rest of the year. But I think if he continues to play, here's my question, though. The reason I ask. If you're San Francisco and Purdy flames out, they lose in the first round.
Stops looking so Purdy.
I'm going to get you to stop somehow. Do you call Green Bay and try to get Rodgers again?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And if you're Green Bay and you're offered 3 or 4 first-rounders again, do you make the trade? I do too. All day long.
Listen, I love Aaron Rodgers. I love him in Green Bay. But the fact of the matter is the dude has a $60 million cap hit next year.
He's going to have to renegotiate.
If I'm San Francisco, I'm making that phone call.
And Rodgers has to realize he's going to have to renegotiate, whether it's in Green Bay, New York, San Francisco. You got to bring that cap.
I get that he wants to retire Green Bay Packer. I'd rather see him win a Super Bowl. I think it's time at this point to see what we got in Jordan Love. This was our year to go all in, and our GM didn't. But the Packers can't make any decision until the GM's gone. That needs to be first and foremost.
I have a bad feeling he's going to be around, but we'll see.
I hope not. Bring in Elliott Wolf. Hashtag Elliott Wolf. I'm all for it.
I'm right there with you. Bring him in. I want him in Green Bay.
But back to San Francisco. I mean, you have somebody in Purdy you're going to get to see the rest of the season because the issue with Trey Lance now is he has a broken fibula. And that's not going to be easy to come back from. I don't know if he's back game 1 next year.
I don't know.
That's a big bone to break. I mean,
that's a bigger bone in the
bigger
half.
bone.
Okay, yeah.
Like I broke my foot, and it wasn't even a Liz Frank break. I mean, I had the same break Garoppolo has, and I was out for a couple of months.
You wouldn't have been ready for the playoffs.
And it wasn't that bad of a break. Like I didn't feel a lot of pain or anything as long as I had the boot on. Like it wasn't terrible, but I still was out for 2 months in a boot. He has a broken fibula. Like he's going to be out for a while.
It's almost like an ACL. It's a year to full 12 months of recovery.
The issue is, though, it's a bone. It's not like a tendon.
Right.
The tendon can be sewn back together and put back on. You can't do that with a bone. It just is going to take as much time as it takes.
I think like Mikowski, like other players, like the guy who was there before Lou Gehrig, I think Trey Lance has played his last down in San Francisco.
Oh, 100%. I mean, well, the issue is, too, you look at, like, when I finally got off the boot with my broken foot, my foot was still broken. Like 2 months later, my foot was still broken. I'm assuming it's healed now. I haven't had another x-ray because it hasn't hurt. But that's the crazy thing to think about. Like, I couldn't have gone on a football field after 2 months.
You don't have 300-pounders trying to break the leg again.
I don't. Otherwise, they probably would have x-rayed it a lot more.
The only guy I've ever seen have that bone break was Joe
Theismann.
Joe Theismann, thank you.
And Alex Smith.
Just went away. And Alex Smith, but Theismann's the famous one because you just saw it go into the ground.
But again, it took years for them to come back.
Heisman never came back. Alex Smith coming back is the most impressive thing I've ever seen.
Alex Smith coming back is pure grit because he wasn't going to walk off the field due to injury. And he wasn't going to walk off the field saying, I He wanted to walk off the field saying, I did this on my own. And he had a lot of support from his family to do it. Trey Lance is going to have a lot of support, obviously, from everybody to come back. But I agree. You're going to see Jordan Love start a full season before you're going to see Trey Lance start a full season in the NFL.
I think you may be right. And
I mean, it happened to RG3, which is unfortunate because RG3 should have been
RG3 got
Hall of Fame quarterback.
He should have been. RG3 was screwed by his agent and by the team that drafted him because they were trying to force him into an Adrian Peterson. Not everybody is Adrian
Well,
Peterson.
he should have never played in that playoff game. He wasn't healthy enough to do it, and it tore his leg up completely when he should have been sat for the rest of the season. He should have been shut down.
Yes, he should have. And he might still be
got bad
playing.
advice. He'd probably still be playing. That's the sad part is Andrew Luck and RG3 are shown as bad first and second picks. They were great picks.
Andrew Luck had several really good years. RG3
they both just got hurt.
Yeah.
They both got hurt. And that's what ended up ending their career. RG3, in my opinion, was better than Lamar Jackson is right now because he had a better arm.
He had a great arm.
People forget that dude could throw a bullet 60 yards down the field. It bothers me with RG3 because he was one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch. And what happened to him in his career does make me sad. He should have had a much better career than he did. But he's finding success in his second career.
He's a great announcer. So
here's one for you.
Yes, sir.
Because this goes back to your generation.
Okay.
In a lot of ways. They have renamed the trophies in the NBA after players. Finally.
You told me not to look at that story. So
I told you not to look. One, because you'll know who these people are better than I do, probably. But two, it's interesting to me. So first off, you heard about Bill Russell, right?
He died. I did.
Yes. His number's been retired.
As he should be.
Throughout the NBA.
Should be.
Yeah. So you can wear number 6. They're going to do it like Jackie Robinson. You can wear the number if you already have it, but nobody new into the league can wear that jersey. If you switch teams, you'll have to change your number, all that stuff.
So Dr. J is still going to be able to have his number in the rafters.
100%. LeBron James is able to wear number 6, at least for the rest of the year. I don't know if he'll be able to wear it next year.
I don't know. With Jackie Robinson, they let anybody who currently was wearing it wear through the end of the career.
With that current team. If you switch teams.
Yes, and Mariano Rivera was the last player to have
He was, because he was with the Yankees the entire time.
Correct.
With the MVP trophy, it is now the Michael Jordan trophy.
I don't have a problem with that. However, a lot of these awards, let's give a little more time before we go back and do it like another generation. He's only one generation removed from being on the court.
2 generations.
One. You were a kid when he was in his prime.
Yeah, but there's another generation between me and what the kids are now.
I suppose. But I don't have a huge problem. I don't have a problem with that.
It makes sense. He's won the award 5 times.
Yes.
Would have won it more had he not gone and played in basketball for a while.
Magic should have been considered for it.
Well, that's why I asked you not to read the list.
Okay.
Because that's what I was waiting for, was for the comment about Magic Johnson. Because I know he's your all-time favorite player. And I knew...
The guy I would pick to start any team I would ever start.
He is on this list, but let's see what you think about this one.
Okay.
Defensive Player of the Year. Can you guess who it's named after?
If it were me, I would say maybe David Robinson.
Not David Robinson. Hakeem Olajuwon.
Oh, yeah. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Rookie of the Year?
No idea.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Really?
That one, it's hard to pick. Like, are you just going to pick a guy who is the best rookie?
Yeah.
It's hard to pick. Wilt Chamberlain was the best rookie. I mean, he was the best.
Except that he started out playing for the Harlem Globetrotters after Kansas. And then came to he's an all-time great. I don't have a problem with it. I like Kareem better, but Wilt was great.
He's there. Hold on. We'll get there. The 6th man of the year is John Havlicek.
That should have been Junior Bridgman.
I don't know who that is.
Milwaukee Bucks, Hall of Fame, jersey retired, 6-man, unbelievably good in the early 70s.
Okay. Well, it's not.
John Havlicek. I don't remember him coming off the bench. Maybe he did. So if he did do that, let me know in the comments if Havlicek was a sixth man because I always remember him as a starter for
I'm assuming he
Boston.
was, because that's why he's named the sixth man of the year. I got to assume the most improved player is George Mikan.
The first big man in the NBA for the Minneapolis Lakers, which that name made sense.
Yes. A lot of people still don't know that. Like, they were the reason they're named the Lakers is because they started in Minnesota, which is the land of 1,000 lakes.
10,000 lakes.
Which Wisconsin has more, but then again, what we call lakes are probably
Ponds. Yeah.
So it
was
may not really count.
That's a great name for Minnesota. I don't know where the lakes are in LA, but LA
There are
Lakers
none.
still goes.
There's the LA River, which is basically sludge from my understanding. And they have a new one. It's the clutch player of the year. I don't know what that means, so it'll be interesting to see who wins that, but that is named after Jerry West. So that's a Jerry West trophy, is the clutch player of the year. So I don't know if that's like a highlight, because when I think of a clutch, it's a clutch moment.
When I think clutch, I think Steph Curry.
Yeah. Well,
and Jerry West was, let's face it, he's a logo.
Yeah, he is.
So, and he was an all-time great for the Lakers in the 70s and 60s. So I don't have a huge problem with that.
No, I just don't know what that's going.
That's very subjective.
To be. Yeah, it's not really. I mean, all awards are subjective. Let's be honest. But I just don't really understand.
I don't either.
If it's going to be a moment. I tried to look into it, and I really didn't find anything on it. So it's kind of going to be one of those. They're going to give the award, and then you're going to understand it.
Oh, is it going to be like when Michael made the shot against Utah?
Right. That is the clutch player of the year right there.
Right.
Period. Again, it's a moment.
Or Giannis going up and blocking somebody above the rebound.
Clutch player of the year. It won the finals.
Right.
So that's my thought on that too. Or Allen Iverson when he did that crossover to win the game. You know, I always think of those as clutch moments. I don't really think of people as clutch players necessarily. I kicked your camera.
Yes, you did.
All right, I fixed it.
I'm barely in focus to start with.
I fixed it. It's
what else do we got?
I get too excited. So then those are the year awards. And then they do have the other trophies, which is the finals MVP is named after Bill Russell.
Perfect. No problem with that.
Nope.
11-time champion.
Because at first I thought, well, why wouldn't Bill Russell be the MVP award? But for a man who went to the finals 11 times, it makes sense that
I have no problem with that.
There.
Yeah.
All-Star MVP is Kobe Bryant. I love that. They announced that a while ago.
I love that.
Eastern Conference Finals is Larry Bird, which means the Western Conference Finals is Magic Johnson.
And let's face it, and people your age don't remember, the NBA Finals when I was a kid and talking in high school was played on tape delay after the news at 10:30. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't until that 1979 NCAA tournament where they played each other and Magic won in the finals, and then they went on to the run with the Showtime Lakers against the just gritty Boston Celtics.
Now, they only played against each other in the finals a couple of times, though, right?
3 or 4.
Yeah, I always thought it was like the entire 80s.
One or the other was in the finals almost every year. And I heard somebody say something, might have been the stupidest comment I've ever heard about Larry Bird. They said that he wouldn't be able to play today's game.
No, they said he wouldn't be able to start.
Same thing.
On many teams.
It's the same thing. Are you out of your freaking mind?
Who did I hear? I don't remember who said it, but it was a couple of people that were like actual basketball podcasts. And they go, "You're right. Larry Bird wouldn't have been able to start on one team in the NBA. He would have started on every team in the NBA."
This is where Chris Broussard needs to have one of those, you kids don't know how good Larry Bird was.
Larry Bird's one of the greatest players of all time. And he's not even as good as he should have been because he broke his shooting hand before the draft.
And he had to hide it.
And they had to hide it. He was playing softball and broke his shooting hand after getting hit in the hand, which is why his shooting percentage was not as good as it was in college.
And it was still outrageous.
But for sure. One of the greatest players of all time. So he is the Eastern Conference Finals trophy. Magic Johnson is the Western Conference Finals trophy. I like that more than having Magic or Larry be the MVP.
I'm good with that.
That is basketball history.
You can't say one without the other.
Right. I thought Kareem could have been the MVP trophy. He is known as the greatest player of all time. he's the Social Justice Award. Now, I think that name should be changed to Man of the Year
Yes, thank
Award,
you.
like Walter Payton. I don't really like. I mean, social justice to me is
It's kind of an obtuse.
it's an obtuse, newly formed word.
It's a
Like
woke-
that's not a
it's a woke word.
thing that's been around. Instead, it should be Man of the Year.
Yes.
Just like it's Walter Payton Man of the Year, it should be the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Man of the Year award.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping they change it to that because it doesn't matter. Like you can do charity and other things, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wasn't just a social justice person, which again, I'm not really sure what that term means, but he was a man that did a lot for other groups of people. And I think it's unfortunate to just kind of paint him in one corner like that, because he did so much in the community for a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't like the name. Man of the Year could be somebody who does a lot of work with a children's hospital someplace, wherever it is.
Which the NFL has right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. I just think it's a better name, and I'm hoping over time that gets changed to Kareem Man of the Year trophy. Because again, I think it's a disgrace to a person who did so much for so many different communities in Milwaukee and in LA and in a lot of other places.
New York.
He is the Man of the Year, not just painted to one individual section.
And granted, when Kareem was in college, it was and with the Bucks early, it was the height of the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
That being said,
He did a lot to speak out. He did great things, but it's because
went
he was a good
beyond that.
man. It went
Right.
beyond that. And again, I think painting anybody of that caliber into a single corner is wrong, and it should just be the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Man of the Year award.
it does have a better ring to it.
It does, and it again, I think in like the same way with Walter Payton, it honors Walter Payton a lot more.
Right.
You could have instead of Walter Payton like they have in the NFL, you could get a Kareem on your jersey for life for being
Which
the
would be
Kareem
awesome.
Abdul-Jabbar Man of the Year. You could do a lot with it. I think the NFL does it right, and I think you do the same thing in the NBA. Again, painting somebody into a corner like that, who is the caliber of man that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was and still is wrong. It should be the Man of the Year award or the MVP. I was surprised. I get Michael Jordan's flashy.
Well, Michael Jordan won 6. I think Magic and Kareem. Oh, huh?
He won 5.
I thought he won 6. Then Kareem and Magic must have been one below that.
That I don't know.
I don't
you
know.
would know that. I think Kareem's won more.
Maybe.
I know Bill Russell won more
Well, yeah.
because Bill Russell won 6.
Bill Russell was the league throughout the 50s and 60s.
He was. Let's see. Most
Oh,
MVPs
this is entertaining.
NBA.
You want me to do a song and dance while you're looking this up? We're losing our audience right now.
The most is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who won 6.
Okay. Well, I think he would be more honored with the Man of the Year award, and that's what I'm going to call it.
Yeah.
The
Both
MVP.
Bill Russell. I was wrong. Bill Russell won 5. Wilt Chamberlain and Braun have won 4.
Okay.
But Kareem did win 6. But I agree, it should be the Man of the Year award for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and that's what I'm going to refer it as going forward, because I think it's a better name and more honorary of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
But the trophy's cool.
The picture of a skyhook.
They haven't shown that one.
Okay.
They just showed the Michael Jordan one. They did go back and give that trophy actually to Nikola Jokic, who won it last year.
Oh, okay.
So they've already given it out.
Well, they can't use the pose for Michael that they would want to use, and that of him.
They
know,
didn't. It's him reaching for that one dunk is what it is.
What, the one where he started from the free throw line?
No.
Like that's
The one where he just comes underneath and
Got
basically
it.
puts his hand
got
up.
it. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
look it
I
up.
think Nike would have a problem, or maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. There's still a lawsuit going on with Nike that I don't think's fully been resolved with that picture. I think the names are really good. I love the Eastern Western Conference Finals.
My favorite award.
Perfect. I love that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar gets the Man of the Year award. Hakeem Olajuwon, Defensive Player of the Year, fits perfectly. I thought all of them were. I am interested to see what the Clutch Player of the Year is going to be, because that is a new award.
Okay, I love that they went back and they did a George Mikan award, because that dates back to the beginning of the NBA.
Well, and you couldn't leave Jerry West off of the awards. He's your logo.
Correct.
So I think that's where this came from. They're like, we can't not have Jerry West as a trophy.
I've always thought, and maybe it is, and I don't know, is the college scoring champion should be the Pete Maravich Award. I don't know if it is or not.
It's not.
I just think it should be.
Makes sense.
Because he still holds the record.
And he always will. People don't play as long as they used to.
And he did it without a three-point line.
Out a three-point line. Can you imagine where you'd be in the NBA with a three-point line?
He would have averaged something like 56 points a game.
It's crazy.
Just
absolutely crazy. One more question for you before we end this show.
You're delaying going to me at all costs today.
Yeah, I'm nervous today. I am nervous. But there's a subject you want to talk about.
It was?
When it comes to coaches being fired in the NFL.
There was?
Apparently you don't remember.
No, I
went
don't.
off on me with this about Matt LaFleur being fired by the Green Bay Packers.
Well, yeah, it wasn't coaches.
Put it on the show sheet or old man brain kicks in.
Sorry.
Lesson learned.
I didn't know we were talking. I thought you were talking about coaches in general. However,
because there's several coaches out there, and I know we've talked about this before, but you had some interesting takes on this when it comes to Matt LaFleur specifically, and Josh McDaniels in Vegas, on if they should be able to keep their jobs.
Well, McDaniels is not. I think that
he 100% is. The Raiders can't afford to cut him. They're still paying Gruden, and they just signed him to a major contract. They can't afford to pay three coaches at once.
This was year one, right?
This is year one.
Okay, so he'll get another year. Matt LaFleur did not handle adversity well this year.
Well, and you made some good points on, yes, he's been 13-3, 3 years, except for this year. But you could also argue that we lost several playoff games because of his coaching.
He was deer in the headlights at the most important moments of a lot of games.
Right.
The playoff game last year when Rodgers could have ran. His play calling was not good. He didn't take control of the defense when the defense was really flagging. He let the special teams just wander off and do whatever and didn't address it until the end of the year when it should have been addressed middle of the year to send a message. So, yeah, I can make an argument that LaFleur, but I also said if Green Bay wants to make a statement and they could go out and get Sean Payton, which I don't think they can, but if they could get Sean Payton, I would fire LaFleur and bring in Payton.
I think the big thing is you're going to see a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and I think if I was a betting person, and I'm not, as evidenced by our picks, although we did finish first this week.
We did. You're welcome.
I think it would. I made the picks. I think Jim Leonard will be the defense coordinator.
It makes sense because you hired somebody else.
Yeah.
Josh McDaniels can get another chance. Nathaniel Hackett, I think, should be able to get another chance. I don't think it's Nathaniel Hackett's fault. I really don't. I think it's Russell Wilson.
But he's going to go. He's going to have to go back to being probably an offensive coordinator or a quarterback's coach even before he gets another shot and work.
But he's not fired yet.
But he will be. That's the one.
You need to blame somebody for this season.
Correct. And they're not going to blame the guy they just paid a boatload of money.
$250 million guaranteed. But that's whose fault it is.
It is.
And if you're being real with yourself, did Nathaniel Hackett make a bad decision in his first head coaching game? Yes, he did. He went for a long field goal when he should have given the ball to Russell Wilson. But ever since then, Russell Wilson has been the problem with that team. Your quarterback.
I refuse to address this situation at this
It tells you how strong of a coach Pete Carroll is, the fact that he didn't lose the locker room, though. By the way, Pete Carroll also doesn't allow FUCK on anybody's finger.
No, he doesn't. And Pete Carroll, in my book, is the coach of the year this year.
Oh, I don't think you can give it to anybody else.
I don't think
How
so.
could anybody else be given the coach of the year other than Pete Carroll?
If they make the playoffs, which...
I mean, you could give it to Saleh because he's won without a quarterback.
Yeah, maybe. But Hackett's going to be gone. I don't think he's getting a fair shake.
I don't know if he is. I really don't.
New ownership in Denver. They're going to clean house.
I don't think so.
I think they are. They've shown no life this year. And put it on Wilson, put it on Hackett, whatever. There is not a synergy between those two. They haven't had a meeting of the mind.
They have not.
So
they have been very much on the different pages. But if you put Aaron Rodgers on that team, like was talked about, that's a winning team.
I think so because I think he and Hackett would have worked well together.
They did work well together.
Yeah. So
They worked very well together, and Aaron Rodgers is a different type of quarterback.
correct.
This is on Wilson this year, and I don't think it's fair for Hackett to take the fall. Is he going to? Yeah, he's going to, but I don't think that's fair.
I don't either, but and Aaron Rodgers would have done everything possible to make Hackett win and make him look good.
Here's a question for you. Look at the Giants right now.
Do I have to?
Now it's a new head coach, right?
Correct.
Who had a great start to the season, but is having a bad end to the season.
They're failing and falling fast.
They're gonna be the ones that are gonna miss the playoffs. I
Well,
think you're gonna see the Lions or the Packers in the playoffs instead of.
I could still get my pick home.
You can.
Damn it! And I'll celebrate that if I get the Lions in.
You have some fans of this show that will owe you an apology.
Yes, they will, and I will make sure we get it. But I said early this year that the Lions were going to make the playoffs, even if by the skins of their teeth. They still are on track.
They're looking good. They're 5-1 since Peyton Manning did an exorcism on Fort Field.
It could come down to Green Bay versus Detroit in Lambeau.
The final season. There's a reason that game's still to be determined on time.
Yeah, absolutely. That could be the Sunday night game. Oh, by the way, your cousin's going to be there coming in from Tennessee to what's going to be a very, very cold Lambeau Field.
It'll be a very cold game.
Yeah, I already told him to break out his burnt orange.
If we lose that game and don't go to the playoffs, it's his fault.
Yeah.
So then I hope he freezes.
That goes without saying.
But if he brings home a win,
it's still not his doing. I'm not going to give him credit for that.
Then I'll say he brought home a win. I will. I'll give him credit for it. But it is his fault. So, Chad, remember, it's your fault if they lose on January 8th, if it's with the playoffs. I don't think we make it that far.
I don't either.
We gotta beat the Dolphins.
and the schedulers did them no favors, because even though they've had a long break now, they're going to have I think they play the Monday night game.
Monday night game against the Rams.
And they play an early game against Miami.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough to go down there and win.
We'll see what happens. It all depends on Aaron Rodgers' thumb. I don't really see. Here's another question for you. Say Ron Rivera in Washington doesn't get to the playoffs, which is a possibility. Does Ron Rivera get fired?
No, that team has exceeded expectations this year.
I think Ron Rivera keeps his job because I think John Snyder has other things to worry about.
There may be a new owner more than a new coach in Washington.
I don't think he's selling the team. I heard rumors, and I think it might have been the Pat McAfee show that I heard this on, but it was the Pat McAfee show where they were joking about saying that he's going to sell like 30% to a friend of him.
Of course he would.
And I'm like, that makes sense. Yeah. Why wouldn't he do it?
He's played games of the books all along. Why not do it again?
That's what's going to kill him, is he's going to have to sell the team just to pay for the tax fraud.
Yes.
Like that, you can mess with the NFL. You can't mess with the IRS.
I still am waiting for the Gruden lawsuit to come out.
It's already there. That thing's already been settled behind closed doors.
I don't think it's been settled yet.
With the NFL, it has.
Okay.
There was a settlement behind closed doors with the NFL. Now, he hasn't gone after Dan Snyder yet that I'm aware of, but that will be coming.
With the
because
emails
now
that just dropped? Yes.
Well, now that it's been proven that Dan Snyder leaked those emails on purpose. Yes, there is a slander lawsuit coming towards Dan Snyder, and he's going to have to pay a lot of money coming up. He's going to have to sell that team just because of these lawsuits in the IRS.
But Gruden did say,
Gruden said some pretty stupid things.
They were stupid, but I don't think there's anybody on this planet or anybody in the NFL that would call him racist.
No, but it was the timing.
It was a bad thing to say.
Right in the middle of the Me Too movement and all that other stuff. And it was just the timing of it, and Dan Snyder knew that. He was going to take the heat off himself and put it on Gruden, and it was brilliant. I mean, it worked in his part. It was disgusting.
Well, I don't think he's the best human being as an owner.
I don't think he cares.
I put him right up there with the San Diego Clippers former owner.
L.A. Clippers at the time.
Were they the L.A. Clippers? Okay.
They've been the L.A. Clippers my entire life.
Oh, stop it. I rememme the San Diego Clippers. Leave me alone.
I think they moved to L.A. like before I was born.
I know they did. I know. Leave me alone.
They played second fiddle in L.A. for a while.
I remember Bob McAdoo, formerly of the Boston, or the Buffalo, whatever they were, before they moved to San Diego. God, I'm old.
And he admits it.
Yeah, whatever.
And he admits it. Well, we had the fire department called to our house the other day because of how many candles I had to put on your cake. People thought we had a fire in our house.
You funny guy, Dr. Jones.
Grayson did make a comment, was saying, I don't think we have that many candles. I said we're not putting that many candles.
I will deal with him before I leave tonight.
But anyway, I think you and I have had an amazing show. It is now time for the most terrifying part of the show. Any last words?
Yeah, I was going to talk about things Christmas related and family related, but I got something that happened that scared me to death and is a tragic situation. Mike Leach, for those of you who haven't heard, coach of Mississippi State, passed away of a massive heart attack basically over the weekend, but it was announced today that he died, passed away today. He was 61 years old. I'm 61.
Yep.
I love Mike Leach because he was out of the box. He wasn't the typical coach, speaker, whatever.
I love Mike Leach. Who didn't like Mike Leach?
Yeah.
One everywhere he went. His coaching tree is
insane.
Amazing.
Right. So I will tell everybody out there, the damage that was done to his heart was done years ago.
Correct.
No matter, he did I'm sure he was taking care of himself. Apparently he took long walks to work, which was not just a couple blocks. It was an hour walk. So he did the things he was supposed to do. If you're over 40, over 50, go and get yourself checked, because you never know when something like this is going to sneak up on you, and you're just not going to be here tomorrow.
Well, what's a conversation you and I have had about your back for a couple of years now? There is a time when it is too late.
Correct.
When the damage has been done and there's nothing you can do to correct it. And unfortunately, clearly, Mike Leach was at that point where the damage had been done.
Yeah, and it was, look, I strongly believe, and God says it's your time, and it was his time. But condolences to his family, his friends, the school, all of NCAA football that knew him.
You've heard no bad stories about Mike Leach. In a college where there are negative stories about almost every coach that's out there, Mike Leach, as a public figure, never had a bad thing said about him.
The only time I ever heard anything was the whole thing with Craig James and his kid and whatever, the back and forth. But that passed, and overall, people had nothing. But even if he wasn't the best guy, 61 years old is too young to go.
61 is very young.
Getting younger all the time, considering I am there. So do your families a favor. Go and get your checkups. I have my annual checkup the 1st of January. So I get to get poked and prodded and
have fun with that.
No, I'd rather not. By the way, thank you for the recommendation. I've went to see a chiropractor, gave me some great stretching exercises, which I'm trying to do.
That's the surprising part.
No, it scared me to death.
Good. Get in shape, because it is too late. Even if you're my age, take it seriously. I had to take it seriously. I had a health scare.
Yeah, you did.
About a year ago. And I really had to take life seriously. And it made me learn, and the Mike Leach is another thing, that the damage can be done when you're pretty young. Well, and you got to take it seriously now.
What was scaring me, not to break all this out, but I could feel after getting hit by the drunk driver in the surgery, my back kind of giving in and my legs getting weak, and I am not going down that road.
Nope. I'm not putting you in hospice, and I'm not pushing you around in a wheelchair.
Thank you for that. Thank you. So to Mike Leach's family, condolences from Sports Talk with Dad.
Definitely. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you every single time. So thank you so much for watching. This has been Sports Talk with Dad.
Bye, everybody.